Hello and welcome to this Come to Jesus Daily devotional where we continue in our vision series entitled Rivers. Over the last few weeks we've been exploring our vision, which is bringing people to Jesus, myself, one another, our community, and even if you're not a part of Community Church Putney, I hope you found this helpful, inspiring in some way. And the title of this devotion is Let's Discuss the Gift and the Gift Giver. So let's continue this account. We're going to pick it up from John 4 verses 10 to 14. Jesus answered her, "If you knew the gift of God and who it is that asks you for a drink, you would have asked him and he would have given you living water." "Sir," the woman said, "you have nothing to draw with and the well is deep. Where can you get this living water? Are you greater than our father Jacob, who gave us the well and drank from it himself, as did his sons and his livestock?" Jesus answered, "Everyone who drinks this water will be thirsty again, but whoever drinks the water I give them will never thirst. Indeed, the water I give them will become in them a well of water springing up to eternal life." Jesus talks about the gift, and he talks about the gift giver. And that's exactly what we need to do. So firstly, Jesus moves the conversation onto spiritual things. Now, she's asking practical things. She's talking about getting water. She's talking about Jacob's well. She's on a very practical level, just like Nicodemus in the previous chapter. How can I be born again when I'm old, and so on? How can someone enter his mother's womb? And Jesus is talking on a spiritual level here. And this is what he does. He talks about a practical thing. Can you give me a drink? But then he seeks to move the conversation onto spiritual things. And that's something we need to learn to do. Yes, we start with the practical. Yes, we start with a simple conversation, a respectful conversation. Taking an interest in someone, maybe asking for their help. But can we, by the Spirit, in wisdom, move the conversation on to spiritual things? And this is the example we're seeing Jesus do here. And this is the only time in the Gospels that Jesus talks about the gift. If you knew the gift, it underlines God's grace. And this is what Jesus is seeking to do. Bring this woman to see there's a gift for her. Yes, it's great to have true water. It's great this well is wonderful, I'm sure, but I've got greater water for you. And surely we want that for others as well. So, firstly, Jesus moves the conversation onto spiritual things. Can we move our conversations on to spiritual things? Secondly, he talks about the gift of living water. He exposes her ignorance and need for the gift of God, of living water. And what does he mean by living water? He's talking about regeneration. He's talking about being born again. He's talking about coming to new life. We are dead in sins, but God, it says in Ephesians, made us alive with Christ. The God who said, "Let light shine out of darkness," made his light shine in our hearts to give us the light of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Christ. We see that we need new life, as he said to Nicodemus. And he's saying it to this woman as well. To the respectable and to the disrespectable, to those who seem to have their lives all together, to those who are in heretical religion like this woman, in a cult, false teaching. She needs, and he reveals, you need this gift. So, firstly, he moves the conversation onto spiritual things. Secondly, he talks about the gift. You need the gospel. You need new life. You need to be born again. Thirdly, he talks about the gift giver. He talks about himself. If you knew the gift of God and who it is that asks you for a drink, later on when she talks about the Messiah, when the Messiah's coming, he says, "I who speak to you am he." Jesus makes himself the center of the conversation. Now, we don't do that, do we? We're not the center of the conversation. We make Jesus the center of the conversation. And I would encourage you, as I encourage myself, there are so many big issues and questions. Science questions, historical questions, archaeological questions, philosophical questions. Let's try and make Jesus and the gospel the central thing. When you think, well, I can't answer that, but what do you think about Jesus? I think that's such a wise thing to do. Do you know the gift giver? Jesus offers you living water. So, firstly, he moves the conversation from practical to spiritual. He talks about the gift that she needs. And he talks about the gift giver, Jesus. We need to talk about Jesus. Finally, she moves the conversation away. She changes the subject, and Jesus changes it back again. See what happens? She goes back to practical things. She goes back to talk about Jacob's well and how can you get the water and so on. But Jesus changes it back again. He's persevering. He wants to talk about spiritual things with her. Now, we need to be wise, discerning, don't we? We need to read people carefully. We can't win people by being aggravating and divisive. We've got to listen to people. Clearly, Jesus felt that this was right. When she changed the subject, he changed it back again. Likewise, may we have the courage, as led by the Spirit and wisdom, when someone changes the subject, to bring it back again to Jesus. So, in response, there's so much we can learn from this, can't we? Are you aware? Let's think about this first. Are we aware of the wells in our lives, the places that God has placed us as missionaries? What are the wells in your life? And are we ready to talk about the gift and the gift giver and move the conversation onto spiritual things as we're led by the Spirit? In our church, we talk a lot about serve, invest, and invite. And Jesus is perfectly doing this here, isn't he? He's serving her. He's investing in her with time and conversation. And then he's inviting her to come to him for living water. Likewise, how are we doing? Are we serving people? Loving people? Are we investing in people? Are we then inviting them to church events? To go out for a coffee and have a chat? To meet with some of our other Christian friends, whatever that might be, or even to come to Jesus for living water. Are we serving, investing, inviting? Because I can guarantee it for most of us, if we're not serving people, how are we ever going to invite people to church or to Alpha, etc.? So you've got to begin with the small things. Be prepared like Jesus to do the small things. Talk to a woman, talk to her in a small and respectable way, and then we might see the rivers of living water flow. Finally, let's remember that our own enjoyment of the gift and the gift giver is the wellspring of our effectiveness. Are you and I enjoying the gift, the living water that Jesus gives? Are we loving and worshipping the gift giver? Because if we are, we're going to be jealous for him and we're going to want others to come to know him as well. So, God bless you.